So let's just take a little look around where we are. So this is the food court. This is not necessarily where the action took place, but this has been where some of the injured have been brought to. We've seen several people leave on gurneys or stretchers today. So we still have a very active law enforcement and first responder presence out here. If we kind of flip around this way, if you're able, Brandon, we see squad cars here. We see an ambulance over here. I might be sorry, I'm putting them through the paces here right now. And there are still dozens and dozens of cars in this parking lot. Some of those cars belong to shoppers who were in the mall. Some of those cars belong to people who worked in the mall. And again, it could be hours, it could be days before some of these people are allowed back in to get their belongings. That's just based on some of my experience from previous events like this one. Hopefully it'll be sooner for them if they have left some things behind that they really truly care about. But obviously, a loss of life, injuries is what people are most concerned about. We have not heard about a loss of life yet, but we have heard about at least 3 people injured in this shooting. So if we take you back this way, we can see that first responders have staged. Actually, some water has been brought to the front of the scene there. So now we have hundreds of law enforcement personnel that are going through the process of trying to get everyone out of the mall who may still be hiding in all of the nooks and crannies that are here. So Tina, we do believe we may be getting a little closer to an update from police. And of course, as soon as that happens, if not on air, we will certainly provide that for you online. So we're going to send it back to the studio.
All right, Ben, thank you. We are getting some information here into the WSCV newsroom, and this coming from Chatham EMS, confirming that there are 6 victims. So this situation continuing to unfold at Oglethorpe Mall. The call came in about a shooting around 5:45 this evening. And of course, in a situation like this, your heart simply drops. That's exactly my feeling, and it continues to be as we go through the situation, and the authorities on the scene continue to investigate to find out who's responsible. I do want to say this to you as well. For those of you just joining us, Ben Singer just talked to Mayor Van Johnson. He says this situation is unacceptable. We will find out who's responsible and hold them accountable. We want to check in now with WSAV's Christine Quayle. She's at the Oglethorpe Mall as well. Christine, what can you tell us?
Yes, Tina, so I just heard you say that the mayor just spoke with us, and he did mention that they are looking to find out who is responsible. But as of right now, according to SPD, they don't have anyone in custody, no information about whether they have a suspect. But it's not just SPD on the scene anymore. Chatham County Police, Chatham County Sheriff's Office, as well as Georgia State Patrol are here on the scene. And also, as you just heard from Mayor Van Johnson, 3 confirmed victims. We were talking with people that were inside before all the mall employees were evacuated, and they did say that multiple people were shot. So right now it is at 3. As I said, multiple different law enforcement agencies still here in this parking lot. The whole parking lot here at the Oglethorpe Mall is blocked off, as well as multiple entrances and multiple people who were inside still here. Multiple people just telling me, you know, they pulled up because they saw all this heavy law enforcement presence and they wanted to know what was going on. So people in this community definitely looking for information. We don't have a ton of information right now. As I said, Mayor Van Johnson confirming 3 people, but if, you know, we get new information, if we get more information, we will be the first to update you. So for now, Tina, I will send it back to you, and I'm sure we'll see you again soon.
Christine, thank you so much. We'll check in with you a little bit later. And right now, we'd like to share some video with you. Of course, this is just a sad day for the city of Savannah as we continue to bring you the very latest on a confirmed shooting at the Oglethorpe Mall. There you saw an ambulance rushing one of the victims to the hospital. The scene there, massive. Police surrounded the entire mall. They have support from the Chatham County Sheriff's Office and from the Georgia State Patrol. It's a situation that we don't want to see. In the words of Mayor Van Johnson, this is unacceptable in our city. He says that we will find out who did this and hold them accountable. The mayor also saying that gun violence does not have a place in our community. We want to check in again now with WSAV's Ben Singer, who's on scene.
And Tina, just in the past 30 seconds, the public information officer of the Savannah Police Department has confirmed that Chief Lenny Gunther is on his way to our location. The words she used were en route. Could be a few minutes, it could be longer than that, but we were told that the chief is on his way to this location in between the Macy's and the food court, and he will be making a statement about what we know so far. Now, while they certainly have some of the investigative details ironed out. Oh, come on in, sir. We've been also talking to people in the mall. Hey, I'm Ben. Nice to see you. What's your name?
Ricky Evans.
Okay, Ricky Evans. We're live on WSAB right now, Ricky. I'm wondering if you could just share with me your experience in the mall today with what happened.
Okay, so yeah, I was in the mall actively recruiting for my job. Was speaking with a gentleman. I was in the GNC store at that time. It was a series of gunshots that went off. I would probably say like 8 in rapid recession. It sounded more like a semi-automatic weapon. At that time, I could kind of tell it was like a large caliber, but we were kind of like frozen in that moment. And then it was like a 3-second pause, and then the gunshots rang out again. At that moment, we didn't know what to do, so we ran in the back of the store. But the store that I was in, it had no rear like loading dock. So once I got in there, I got like the initial shock, like, oh Lord, you know, I'm trapped. At that point, there were others who were running into the store and begging us to let them in that moment or whatever, and that was intense, very intense.
So a lot of these stores have glass fronts, and some of them have, you know, the gates that come down. Had they deployed the gate or shut the doors, or how would they secure it?
No. So in that moment, the employee, he was the only employee on duty at that time, and he could not even think past go as well. So he just did the first thing that, you know, we both thought, and that's, you know, get to the rear of the store. So he did have that, but at that moment he was not thinking to close that because it was so close to us.
Let me go back to the sounds that you heard, because several of the other witnesses were talking about the quick succession of the gunfire, and they were really wondering whether it could have been just one gun, like maybe it was an exchange. Obviously that's speculation. Yeah. We're expecting an update from the chief of police here momentarily, but what are your impressions about whether it was just one gun or more than one?
It sounded like the same caliber, honestly. When it rang out again, it sounded like the same gun.
How close did it sound to where you were?
I would say every bit of like 15 feet.
Okay.
Yeah, every bit of 15 feet.
Some of the other reports we're getting is that it may have been near or in a store called Elevate. Do you think you were close to that particular store?
So we were towards the end of the food court, like right in the corner before you turn there. And the lady that ran in, she said she literally just was about to turn the corner, and the shooter was right there in that moment. But she was one of the ones who ran into the store with us, begging us to let her in. Mm-hmm.
Now, the mayor had told us that he doesn't believe it was a targeted attack, you know, or it was a targeted attack, excuse me. It wasn't sort of somebody just going about the business of shooting at random inside the mall. What do you think of that impression?
At that moment, honestly, I do not think that it probably was, but it felt that way. It definitely felt that way in that moment, because as you're running and you're hearing shots that close to you, the only thing you're doing is bracing your body for impact, you know.
I mean, what are you thinking now that you did make it out uninjured, but seriously, I mean, actually, I'm sorry. Excuse me, sir. Thank you so much for your time. This is the chief of police right here. We're going to get an update from him. Thank you. I'm glad you're safe. Okay.
Chief, obviously, a lot of questions. Hoping you can provide as many answers as you can.
All right. We received a call of a shooting at the Oglethorpe Mall around 5:40 p.m.
Yeah, we're here with Chief Lenny Gunther. Chief, what's happening?
We responded to a shooting here at the Oglethorpe Mall about 5:40 p.m. The preliminary information that we received was that multiple individuals were shot. What I can confirm right now is, as of what we know, it was not an active shooter. This is not a random shooting. It appears to be two groups that were shooting at each other, probably known to each other. As of right now, we have 3 victims, different ages, young adults, two young adults, 1 juvenile. All non-fatal shootings right now, expected to live as of right now. Everyone's been evacuated out of the mall, but we're still clearing the mall to make sure there's no additional victims and or suspects. That's all I have right now.
Do you have any idea who the suspects are? Have you been able to identify them or take them into custody?
Not right now.
What about the victims? Were they people that were members of these 2 groups?
We're trying to clarify all the information right now.
Any idea on this is potentially gang-related?
Still trying to clarify that.
We've heard from witnesses that they heard multiple gunshots, one person reporting up to 12 shots. Any idea of your officers confirming that from witnesses?
Multiple shots were fired. I don't have the exact number how many shots were fired, but multiple shots were fired.
Did this happen inside a store, or did it happen in the general hallway concourse area of the mall?
We're still investigating it, but it looked like it originated from inside. It started inside of a store, and then it progressed outside of the store.
Is that 3 total injuries or 3 specifically by gunshot?
3 specifically by gunshot. I have information that one person had a medical emergency, so we're still trying to get more information on that.
Chief, in building this case, a mall usually has a lot of security cameras. Are you in the process of retrieving that?
Absolutely, we're doing all that right now.
Is there anything else you're looking for your investigators to do at the scene right now?
We just want to make sure everyone's safe, everyone around the mall is safe. We're going to clear this mall, make sure everyone's safe, and then get people back in a timely fashion.
Do you know anything about whether
suspects are gone, or do you think they could still be inside the mall or milling around the general public and escaped?
Right now, we don't have an active threat, but we just want to make sure.
Do you have any indication about whether the mall followed the proper protocols when something like this happened?
I can't answer that right now, but I know it was a great response by not only SPD but the surrounding public safety agencies, emergency services. It was a great response just to making sure that everyone was safe. So I'm very proud of that, but we got a lot of work to do.
Chief, what do you think about when something like this happens at a mall?
Thank you.
That is Savannah Police Chief Lenny Gunther giving us the latest update on what happened here. So to recap, he believes, the investigators believe so far, that this was not a random shooting. This was a targeted shooting between 2 groups of people that knew each other. We've heard from some witnesses report they believe it happened in and around the store called Elevate in this mall. He was asked about whether he thought this was gang-related. The chief didn't know that at this time. We are told that there are 3 injuries. They are believed to be non-life-threatening. We don't know whether the people injured were actually members of the groups that may have been firing upon one another. What they're currently concerned with is clearing this mall. As you might imagine, people have scattered to all corners of the mall looking for a safe place to hide and wait out this event. So they have teams of people going door to door, inch by inch of every space inside to make sure that they can get everyone out who may have sheltered in place when they heard the gunfire. So we've heard some things about the gunfire from witness reports as well. Multiple shots fired in succession quite quickly. When I was talking to one of our witnesses earlier, he was among those. Well, he actually thought it sounded like one particular weapon. I've talked with some other people who did indicate that it was it could have been 2 groups of people firing at one another because of the rapid succession of the gunfire. So all of that is still being investigated right now. We do know there's some damage inside the mall. We do know there's a lot of belongings that may have been left behind by people who were working in the mall or visiting the mall today. And the investigation is really in its early stages. But Tina, that is the latest that we know from Savannah Chief of Police Lenny Gunther.
Ben, thank you. And right now we want to check in with WSAV's Christine Quayle. She's been on scene at the Oglethorpe Mall as well, along with Ben Singer. Christine, what can you tell us from your vantage point right now?
Yes, Tina. So we are here at the front portion of the mall. We are here with Kristen. She was actually inside of the mall when this happened, and we were just talking to her. Kristen, tell me, a little bit about what was going on, what you heard, what you saw.
Sure. I was in the American Eagle store and kind of towards the back, and I heard about 10 pops. It sounded like from a handgun, rapid succession, like under 7 seconds. And I just looked because I was like, that can't possibly be what I think it is. And then I saw one of the store workers running, and there was only 6 of us in the store total with the staff and the customers, and they ushered us to one of the back rooms. I have to commend the store manager, Faye. I'm actually going to call American Eagle headquarters tomorrow and let them know. She went out and she lowered the gate, the metal gate, so no one could get in the store from American Eagle in Erie. Those gates are open. Someone could have possibly shot her through there. And then all 6 of us went to the back stock room and barricaded ourselves in, and then called the police and let them know we were there. And then we were probably there about 20 to 30 minutes, and then the police knocked on the back door, and she could see through the peephole, and then we were able to leave. But I mean, it was kind of harrowing. One of the ladies, one of the customers who was in there with us, said she dislocated her shoulder because she actually had to dive under the gate as it was closing because she was in the main area. I mean, I know the mall echoes and everything, but it sounded like the shots were fairly close to our location. So I just hope everyone's okay.
And tell me, when you guys were barricaded, you mentioned you were back there for several minutes in that room. What was going on? What were people saying?
Several of the ladies were crying. We were all, calling family. I called the police, and they asked if, we had a description of anything. I didn't see anyone. I know when I first came in the mall, I saw an older white male security guard with the yellow vest on who he was standing. He seemed to be looking intently at some people. I didn't see him at all. But, staff would just... the police were just asking if we had a description, but I don't think any of us had seen anything.
And you mentioned that the police came and knocked on the door and let you guys know that you could leave. So were you guys evacuated? From what some people told me, they were evacuated to the side where the parking garage is.
Right, we were evacuated to the parking garage. So this is about an hour ago. So I'm just coming back now to get my car because we weren't able to at first with all the ambulances here.
And you mentioned, you heard multiple gunshots, and someone even dove under that gate to get inside the store. Were there other people who were, just outside of the mall that couldn't get inside?
Yes, the manager, Faye, actually said as she was putting the gate down that 2 customers ran out, and she tried to get them to come back in for safety, but she couldn't. So she was, upset, and, we were all kind of tearful, just, hoping that no one got hurt. But yeah, I did hear it was about 10 gunshots. It sounded like rapid succession, like 7 seconds or less.
Absolutely harrowing, terrifying. Kirsten, thank you so much for sharing your experience, and we are just, obviously so glad that you're okay.
Thank you.
Of course, Chatham EMS, did just confirm to us 5 people were brought to the hospital. Not all of those were shooting-related injuries, other injuries like chest pains, for example. I'll send it back to you now, Tina, but again, as we learn more, we're going to keep updating you with as much information as possible. Christine Quayle, WSAV News 3, on your side.
Christine, thank you. Please keep us updated. I will tell you now, this is from Chief Lenny Gunther. Ben Singer interviewed him about 5 minutes ago. The chief believes that this is not a random shooting. It appears to be 2 groups that know each other. He says that there are 3 victims. He doesn't know if the people who were injured are a part of those groups. So right now, that coming from Chief Lenny Gunther on the scene at the Oglethorpe Mall. Let's check in again now with WSAV's Ben Singer. Ben, give us the very latest. What have you learned?
Well, Tina, I think the biggest thing that's going on right now is for authorities to ensure that everyone is out of the mall. So we understand that authorities are going through in teams. A massive response of officers and law enforcement personnel are going through the mall to make sure that anyone who may have been seeking shelter, sheltering in place as we call it, is told that the threat is clear and they should, in fact, are safe. They are safe to leave the mall. There are dozens of cars still in this just one parking lot. This is just one little lot of many here at the mall. But we know a lot of people just abandoned their things and ran outside. You can see behind me here, this is the food court entrance. It doesn't sound like this is where the shooting took place, but it was definitely in earshot of the food court. We were talking with some folks earlier who definitely heard a rapid succession of shots being fired. And this is where first responders have staged just in case they may find any other victims inside the mall. The latest from the mayor and the chief of police is that they don't believe there are any more victims. So we're hearing the number 3. At least one person was taken away by ambulance for a non-gunshot related injury. Could have been due to the stress of all that unfolded here. And we've heard from so many witnesses today about how they braved this situation. So we heard stories of people going into the back of the store, going into the dressing rooms, trying to get the doors closed to the respective stores that they were in. And ultimately, a lot of people ended up making their way out of some of these stores through the back entrances, the entrances that we don't typically see as customers. There's sort of a no man's land area that's actually right over our shoulder. If you pan a little this way, you see one of those entrances there. Now that's nowhere you would actually go as a visitor to this mall, but that is where a lot of people were able to make their way out of some of the back entrances of these stores and make their way out here to the parking lot in safety. So we have crime scene tape here, we have crime scene tape around the other entrances to the mall. This is a situation because of, and for evidentiary purposes, it could take hours, if not days, to really comb through. So we're waiting to hear what sort of effect this may have on mall operations, but we have yet to hear that. The chief of police seems pleased with the response so far. I'm sure they'll do an analysis about what happened and what they may be able to learn from this experience as well. But Tina, that is the latest here from the Oglethorpe Mall. I'm going to send it back to you.
All right, Ben, thank you. Thank you very much. As we continue to cover this unfolding situation, certainly a sad day here in Savannah. A confirmed shooting at the Oglethorpe Mall. The call came in between 5:43, 5:45, and what we've confirmed so far, and this coming from the chief of police, Lenny Gunther, that 3 people have been hurt, 3 individuals hurt, and 1 is a juvenile. So let's check in now with WSCV's Christine Quayle. I believe she's with one of our city aldermen now. Christine? Okay, as Christine continues to prepare and talk to her interviewee, I will also share this information with you. We've been getting firsthand accounts from people simply going to the Oglethorpe Mall today to shop, to take care of their business. This one coming from Ricky Evans. He talked to Ben Singer live on WSAV. He shared his experience simply saying he was recruiting. He was recruiting for his job. He described the sound like a semi-automatic weapon. It says it was about, he was about 15 feet away, and he says it was intense. All right, I'm hearing that we have WSCV's Christine Quayle with one of our city aldermen now. Christine.
Yeah, so we're here with Alderman Dietrich Leggett. We're learning some new details about this situation. Alderman, I know you just arrived on the scene, so what is some of the most up-to-date information?
Well, from what we understand, everything is preliminary, and we're just finding out that it was 2 groups of individuals that we're not sure what happened, but they were shooting at each other. There were some injuries. I mean, it's too early to say how extensive the injuries are, but we have a large scene. We have a scene here, and we also have a scene at the hospital. But we're trying to figure out how many people are affected, and right now the police are actually going through the entire mall to find out if it's an active shooter, if who the people were, who we can try to find out where they are, where they come from. But there's a large investigation. We have multiple units on scene. We have the county police here, the city police, and we have some Georgia State Patrols are here, and also we have elected officials that are here. We actually had an elected official who was in the mall during that time. She finally got out, but there's a lot of information that we're trying to gather. But at this time right now, we do have some people who sustained injuries, and we're going to get some more information. We'll let you know as we get it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Alderman. And, you know, you mentioned that police are still going through the mall to figure out, they think that the suspect might still be in there, or?
Suspect or suspects. So, yeah, we don't know right now who is involved, and until we find out who's involved and get all the answers, everybody's a suspect.
And, you know, talk to me about when something of this magnitude happens here in our city, in Chatham County, in Savannah, you know, law enforcement, what are they looking to, you know, in the coming days, what are they looking to be doing?
It's all hands on deck. It's still conversations to be had, but you know we live in a state where our governor has allowed everybody to carry a gun. And most people don't know how to de-escalate incidences when we have them. So what we're doing right now is we're trying to figure out how to best make sure that everybody go home to their families, even our police officers, how everybody go home to their families at the end of the night. So we're going to find out what's going on, get some more information, and just definitely keep the public abreast of what's happening in real time.
And just to confirm with you, you know, from the information that you have at this moment, none of the injuries at this moment are fatal, as that we know of.
From what I understand and all the information I got, nobody is fatal at this moment. Nothing is life-threatening, but we're still investigating, and we're trying to find out everything that's happening and give you guys some transparency. So people are afraid right now, but what we can tell you is we're on the ground, we're giving out information, we're trying to find out what all we can do to support the public.
And my last question to you, what is your message to, people who, there was multiple people who drove by and they're just like, we see this huge police presence, we don't know what's going on, what would you tell them?
Just try to stay away from the scene, allow the police to do their jobs, allow us to step in, and we're going to give you information as we get it. They're actually keeping us away from what's happening, so we're going to definitely give as much information to the public as possible. But this is a sad occasion, and this is something that we don't look forward to doing, or something we look forward to seeing happening in the city of Savannah at any time.
Thank you so much, Alderman Leggett. We appreciate you sharing that information with us. And the Alderman did just give us that update. It was 2 groups of people, as far as we know, who were shooting at each other, which is what caused the incident. I'll send it back to you for now. We're getting regular updates here from Chatham EMS, Savannah Police, all different agencies who are on the scene. So we will have another update for you soon. Christine Quayle, WSAV News 3, on your side.
Christine, thank you. We want to remind you to stay with WSAV News 3 on your site. We will bring you continuing team coverage on the confirmed shooting at Oglethorpe Mall tonight at 10 and 11. We also will continue, as we go into our regular programming, bringing you information on WSAV.com, the very latest up-to-date information. Stick with WSAV News 3 on your side. Jeopardy in its programming right now.